A lot of people will tell you that money doesn't buy happiness. I somewhat agree, but there's no argument that not having money can sure make you a lot more stressed. Luckily, there's a lot of relatively easy steps you can take to help relieve some of that stress and set you and your families up for success. Now that's what this video is going to be about. This isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. It's actually kind of like your personal health. There's no magic pill that's going to make you instantly fit or instantly healthy. And it's the same for your personal finances. You're going to have to put in some time, effort, and consistency to really make a difference in the long term. Now, if you're new to the channel, I'm MMuniz, and I make weekly videos on anything related to personal finance or fitness. So if you work hard for your money and you want to make it go further, make sure you smash the like button down below, subscribe to the channel for weekly content. Now, before we get into the video, I do have to explain that this is not financial advice. These are just my opinions. It's up to you guys to do your own research and then use that to decide what's best for you and your family. And then lastly, why would you listen to someone like me? Well, because I'm just an average Joe. If you talked to me 5 to 10 years ago, I was basically living paycheck to paycheck. I made good money, but because of my financial decisions, I chose to live paycheck to paycheck. I was not setting myself up for success in the future, even though a lot of people on my team, like my family, were telling me to do the right things. Now, luckily, about 5 years ago, I made a lot of changes, and I started doing everything that I'm about to talk about, and now we're pretty comfortable. We're not rich, but we have the things that we need, and we're able to do some of the things that we want. And that's what I hope that you guys get out of this video. So let's get right into it. So the first step to setting yourself up for a stress-free life when it comes to your personal finances is to make sure you have an emergency fund. You could start small, $1,000 to $2,000, probably closer to $2,000 since inflation is ridiculous right now. Typically, this would be something like your car breaking down, which is what you need to get to and from work. Have an emergency fund set aside for situations like that can really help yourself in sticky situations. That way you don't need to go into credit card debt, which is extremely important. We're actually going to talk about that coming up. Now, step 2 and 3, kind of up to you guys on which one you want to do first, but I personally prefer to do this one first. Any high interest debt you have, you got to work on paying that off. Now, technically, when it comes to paying off debt, there's 2 different approaches you can take. You can do the snowball method, or you can do the method where you tackle high interest first. Now, there is one that is better than the other, which is the high interest one. But if you're going to be more consistent with the snowball method because it's easier for you, then that's fine. Whatever gets you to the end goal of paying off high interest debt. So let's talk about the snowball method first, even though this is the one that I do not prefer. The snowball method, imagine you have 3 loans or 3 different credit cards that have debt on them. You pay off the one that has the lowest balance first. And by doing that, you accomplish a goal, you feel good, and it helps you stay motivated to pay off the rest. So you continuously tackle bigger and bigger debt, just like a snowball. The other method would be to choose the one that has the higher interest. If you have a credit card that has a 24.99% APR, then you're going to want to pay that one off before the loan that has a 7% rate. The reason you do that is it allows you to pay less interest over time. So that's the smarter way. But some people need to do the snowball method due to psychological reasons, and I understand that. The only thing I'll mention is that not all debt is bad. If you have a low interest loan, like for instance my wife and I, we have a mortgage on our house rate is only 2.875. So I believe that I can use that money and get more out of it, more of a return than by paying off my house. So I don't mind borrowing that money and then using my money elsewhere. That's fine for me, and I have no plans to pay off the house in the near future. If anything, I'm just borrowing money to make money, which is awesome. So step 3 is to make sure you're planning for retirement. Around 1 in 4 people that are age 30 to 45 don't have any retirement accounts. That is crazy and kind of scary. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to be working the rest of my life. So the sooner you can start planning for the future, the less stress you're going to have when you get older. If your company offers a company match for something like a 401k or a 403b, you absolutely have to be taking advantage of that. That is free money. So if your salary is $60,000 and your company is willing to match up to $5,000, your salary is now $65,000. You just got paid free. The other great thing about a 401k is it's tax advantaged. It goes into the account pre-tax, so you're able to not pay the man, Uncle Sam. You're able to keep that money for yourself. Any growth it has, you don't get taxed until you take the money out. Now the other thing, you should have a traditional or a Roth IRA, depending on what you're eligible for. I like the Roth IRA because it serves a couple purposes. With the Roth going in after tax, all your growth and when you take it out are tax-free. But the other great thing about a Roth is in an absolute emergency, You have a Roth, we'll say has $20,000 that you contributed and maybe it's worth $25,000. If you needed, you could take out your contributions tax-free and penalty-free because you already paid taxes on it. So it's almost like having an emergency fund for your emergency fund, which is pretty awesome. So with your retirement accounts, even though you may not plan on accessing them until after you're 59 and a half and in retirement, if things get crazy and something unexpected comes up in your life and you need to access some money, you still have access to that money. Now, typically you will pay a penalty if you're pulling from your 401k or something like that. But at the end of the day, it's still money that you might not have had. Remember, all of your assets, part of your net worth, this just saves you on stress if something bad were to happen. You know, you lose your job and you still got to pay to feed your kids. You have some money set aside. Now, one more thing that I'll add to that retirement talk and retirement accounts is if you have the opportunity and it works for you and your family, you should look into an HSA. An HSA is a triple tax advantaged account. Not only is it pre-tax like the 401k, but you also get tax-free gains and you don't pay taxes when you pull it out when you use it for qualified medical expenses. So in terms of if something bad were to happen to you or your family with huge medical expenses, that account could be something that helps you in the future as well. Or just in retirement, you're going to have medical expenses that you have to pay for. Now, you could get super in depth with how HSAs work and how to take advantage of them, but I'm not going to do it in this video. But I do have it linked down below, and I'll have a card up here that links you to my video on HSAs. So what is step 4? Well, you need to build up your cash savings. And this is something that not everybody does, but it's something that I started doing recently, and I could not be happier. It saves me so much stress and time. What I do is I have multiple accounts or buckets within the company I use called Ally that allows me to describe what's in each fund. So I may have a total savings of $20,000, but I might have it broken up into 6 different accounts. Now, my wife and I, we have accounts for home improvement or home emergencies, vacations, a fund for our daughter. We have an emergency fund if one of us loses our jobs, and an account for personal FOMO or fear of missing out. And what I mean by that is if one of my buddies says, hey, let's go on a quick vacation or a brocation or something like that, I have money set aside so I can be like, yeah, that sounds great, let's do it. Rather than scrounging around trying to figure out, all right, can I afford this? Where can I fit it? It almost sounds like, wow, to have that, you must have a ton of extra money. No, it's just planning for the future. It's just every month we put a little bit of money into each of these accounts based off certain percentages. And then when stuff comes up, we're able to use it very easily. Basically, by having all these savings accounts ready for whenever these things come up, you don't have a worry in the world. A good example of this specifically is a few months ago, my garage door broke and my wife's car was stuck inside. Technically, we were able to extract the car, but at the end of the day, we had to hire a contractor to come fix it. Now, obviously that's not cheap, but luckily we already had money set aside for our home emergencies. So instead of us having to pinch pennies and figure out, oh, are we gonna pay our credit bill this month? We just used the money from our home fund. It was as easy as that. It still stank that we had to spend money, but at the end of the day, there was no worry involved. And the cool thing was that was actually the first time that I was ever able to take advantage of doing this. Because back in my 20s, I made a critical mistake that a lot of people make. I was living paycheck to paycheck because of my own choices. Anytime I got a pay raise or a promotion, I would inflate my lifestyle. I bought a nicer car, bought a motorcycle, bought an even better car, stuff like that I didn't necessarily need. However, when anything popped up that was unexpected, I would get so stressed out because I wasn't sure how I was going to be able to afford paying for whatever the issue was. I knew that I couldn't get into credit debt, so there was a lot of pressure on me. Doing this saves you from that exactly. My wife and I, we decided to go on vacation. Boom. We've already got the vacation money set aside. We could pay for our hotel and flights. We're good to go. Another great thing about having decent cash savings is you can take advantage of 1 to 2 bank account deals per year to get a free return on your money. For instance, Wells Fargo, I just did this year, where if you deposited $1,000, you'd get $300 back after you kept it in there for 3 months and a couple other things. But basically, in order to get extra money, I'm taking advantage of 1 to 2 bank deals and 1 to 2 credit card deals every single year. At the end of the year, it ends up being thousands of dollars that I get paid just for moving money around. So by having cash on hand in savings accounts, I can move it to a different bank and take advantage of a promotion and get paid. The example of the Wells Fargo, it was a 30% return on my money, and there was no risk. It was awesome. So now comes the final step, step 5. You need to work on lowering your expenses where you can. Monthly subscriptions, going out for coffee versus coffee at home, buying in bulk at the grocery store versus buying for a single night's dinner. There's so many ways to save money, and you have access to so many free tools in order to figure out how to do this. You can go on YouTube, Google. There is a plethora of information when it comes to how to save money. So take a little bit of time, look into it, see what works for you. Remember, if going out for coffee makes you happy, then go out for coffee and get your coffee. That's fine. Don't kill yourself to pinch pennies. But if you can make small changes in your life and then take that extra money and put it into a personal brokerage account or an investment account, that's the final step. I personally like M1 Finance because it takes all the thinking out of it. You get to make a pie, you invest weekly or monthly and set it and forget it. Let it grow over time, balance the way that you chose to balance it, and then you forget about it. Now, M1 does take some of the fun out of investing. It removes the gambling, the flashy colors, the explosions, but that's actually good because at the end of the day, buying consistently, dollar cost averaging on a weekly or monthly basis is going to beat out if you just tried to time the market, YOLO all your money into crypto, day trade, that kind of stuff. If you like doing that, then do it. But it's pretty easy if you have a lot of time to just buy and hold and build your wealth over time. At the end of the day, if you work towards accomplishing these 5 things, you're going to be so much more free from financial stress. In the case of me and my family, we always lean on our savings if needed. And beyond that, we can go into our investment accounts if needed beyond that. And then even beyond that, we have retirement accounts to rely on in an absolute worst case scenario. Or just in retirement, since that's technically what it's for. Maybe we'll retire early, who knows? I want to hear from you guys. What do you guys do to set yourself up for financial success? Put it down in the comments below. I do my best to respond to every comment on all my videos, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Take care.